for another Friday Fun Day with Sara. And I'm super excited about today's pattern. We're going to be making a reindeer. Isn't that the cutest thing? You can do a brown button if you want a regular reindeer, or you can do a red button for Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Well, this is super fun and super easy to make. And this is what we're going to do today. Now, as always, you can find those crochet pattern links underneath my video in that description box. Now let's find out what we need to make these reindeer ornaments. To make our reindeer ornament, you're of course going to need some yarn. And today we're using medium weight number 4 acrylic yarns. This one is just made in a darker brown and then an even darker brown for the antlers. A little bit of green and red if you want. I've just got some red and green sparkle here. And I've got a little bit of brown for the antlers. And for the main part, I happened upon this particular yarn in my yarn stash. It is a sparkle metallic brown. It's Red Heart Love, medium weight, number 4. And the color is called taupe. And I thought it was perfect. It looks a lot like this one, only it has a sparkle in it. So I'm going to be making some with this. You can use any medium weight number 4 yarns. You just need a beige or brown. Like I said, a little bit of dark, a little bit of green, and maybe some red if you want to add a bow. And of course, to sew on your button. You're going to need a needle for weaving in ends and sewing on that button. And the button is about 1/4 of an inch. This one's a little less than 1/4, so you can see it's a little bit smaller. But I found this one in my button stash, and so I want to use that one today for our demonstration. We're going to be stitching with an H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. And then, of course, you're going to need some scissors. So we're going to begin with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 5. We're going to join the chain 5 into a circle. So we'll put the tail of yarn over our hook and pull that through. All right, we'll tie that stay knot. And if you prefer to use the magic circle here, you certainly can. We're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. And now we're going to stitch 11 more double crochets in this chain 5 loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and we stitched 11 more. So we're going to join to our chain 3 and chain 3. Now, before we do the next round, we're going to go ahead and pull that yarn, and then we'll take our needle and weave that in. You can wait to the end to do this if you want to. I just like to go ahead and get it done. Then I don't have to worry about it. All right, that's nice and snug. I'll clip that off. And so for row or round 1, I have 12 double crochets joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around. So I'm stitching 2 double crochets in each of those 12 double crochets around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3. I stitched 2 double crochets in each of those 12, so I have 24 double crochets. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and I'm only going to chain 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next. 1 single crochet in the next and 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And so we'll be repeating 1 and 2 all the way around. 1 single crochet in the next, 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around and join back to our first single crochet. I completed row 3, stitching 1 and 2, 1 and 2 all the way around, so you're going to have 36 single crochets. We're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, and now we're going to chain 2. On row 4, we're going to make the ears of our reindeer. So we're going to stitch 2 triple stitches in the next stitch. So we're going to put 2 wraps over our hook, go in the next single crochet, and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third 2. That's our triple stitch. So we'll do that again in the same single crochet. So we have 2 triple stitches. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to slip stitch in the top of that triple stitch. And now we're going to stitch 2 triple stitches in the next stitch. Chain 2 and slip stitch in the next stitch. Now we have our first reindeer ear made. We're going to slip stitch in the next 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and chain 2. Now we're going to complete our second ear. We're going to stitch 2 triples in the next single crochet. There's 1, 2, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch in the top of that triple stitch. Then we'll stitch 2 triples in the next stitch. 1 and 2. There we go. Now we'll chain 2 and slip stitch in the next stitch. There's our second ear made. All right, so now what we're going to do is cut our yarn. And we're going to tie that off, and we're going to go in this next stitch and pull that loop to the back of our ornament so that we tie it off to the back and it looks nice and neat. All right, so there is our reindeer. So I've tidied up my reindeer, weaved in my ends, and now I'm going to show you how to make those antlers. So I've got my brown yarn. Start with a slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to slip stitch in the second chain from the hook and in each of those chains. So we're just going to slip stitch down the chain. All right, now we're going to chain 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we're going to repeat that. Slip stitch in the second chain, and in each chain. There we go. It didn't want to get in there. Alrighty, so I'm just slip stitching back down the chain. Alrighty, so there are my 2 antlers. We're going to cut that off, giving us a little bit there so we can attach it to our deer. Alright, so we'll tie that off. Here's our antlers. I'm going to grab my needle. Alright, you want to make sure it's centered. Now, it's up to you which way you want to put it on. It doesn't matter. They're going to kind of be wonky and fun anyway. And so what I do is I sort of set it there, and I just stitch it in place. There we go. Make sure I don't get in that antler. And to the back. And then I do that on this other side with the other tail of yarn. Okay, then we'll go to the back and we'll just tie a knot. And I like to tie a knot here because that's going to keep it nice and secure, and it's not going to be seen. It's going to be on the back, of course. There we go. So now he has some antlers. Or she. I heard Santa's reindeer are female. So the next thing I'm going to do is thread on about 12 inches worth of yarn, a little more maybe, and I'm going to make the eyes. Now on this one, I just made a couple of stitches. And the thing is, you want to make sure that you go through stitches and not the holes, or you'll lose your eyes in between. Okay, so here's the circle that we're calling his snout. And so I'm going to come up here in a stitch and just make a couple of stitches. Okay, you can do 2 or 3. I want that one to be a little bit bigger. So I'll go ahead and do 3. All right, and then we want to kind of line it up over here, and so I'll go like this and do a couple of stitches. Again, make sure you're going through a stitch and not a hole. All right, so there's my little green sparkly eyes. And I'm going to go across behind without that showing through on the front. And then we can, I guess I should have left that in there. We're going to weave that in. I just like to weave them in together at the same side. It just makes it hold better, I guess. It's just my opinion, of course. You can weave that in however that you want to. Alrighty, let's go ahead and weave this one in. And then next we'll add that cute little button nose. Alright, let's sew on our nose. Isn't this the cutest button? Alright, so we want to put the nose right in the center. So I'm going to come up from the bottom. Since I only have 2 holes on this one, the one I put on this one I had 4 holes. But either way, I like to come up from the bottom and make a loop. This stays on the back because we're going to use that to tie that button in place. Alrighty, now we're just going to sew this button on. Now, if you want to use a button that doesn't have the buttonholes, you can glue it in place. And you can use E6000 or hot glue or whatever kind of glue that you want to use. But if I can get my needle through the hole, I would really prefer to sew it on. Alright, so we're to the back, and we're just going to tie that on so it's nice and secure. Alright, I like to tie 3 knots. Alright, so now our little reindeer has a red nose, cute little green eyes, and his antlers. And to make the tie, I just take a piece of a sparkle green or whatever I have, and we're going to go right there because we want it to go in between those antlers. There we go. And we'll just make that tie. That's our hanger, what we're going to hang it up with. Now, if you want to add something more, you could always add a bow. I've got a little piece of red here that might look nice right down here. So we'll just bring in a little bow. And again, you can use ribbon for your ties and your hangers and add that on. You can add whatever embellishments that you want. That's crooked. Let's do that again. All right, let's line that up better. All righty, let's see. Where's that nose? Okay. There we go. But you can add, anything you want to your reindeer. And the truth is, you don't even have to use traditional Christmas colors. There we go. So now this one has a little bow. You could add a little Christmas button there if you wanted to. And make it even more Christmassy. Wasn't that super fun? I know I had a really good time making this reindeer. Isn't it cute? That button nose and a little sparkly package and those little bitty antlers. So much fun. Now I'll see you next week, next Friday, for Friday Fun with Sara.